Hello, my name is Rob Garner. I'm a computer programming instructor, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to make a basic application in C++. To begin, we need to open up Visual Studio. If you don't know where Visual Studio is located, the easiest way is to go to Start, type in Visual Studio, and it should appear as the first item on the list. Click Visual Studio, it will open up. Visual Studio is basically an integrated development environment, an IDE. The purpose of an IDE is to provide you, the programmer, with a collection of tools in order to do programming. You can actually write C++ programs by just using a regular text editor if you want and a compiler, but IDEs have been developed to make the process of programming a little bit easier. Unfortunately, if you're a beginner, the quantity of tools that are in an IDE can be kind of bewildering at first. So don't worry if you don't understand right away how everything on Visual Studio works. I will demonstrate for you the basic things that you need to know, and over time you'll learn how to use everything else in the development environment. So if we look at our screen, what we have is we have a number of windows. We have a toolbox. We have a main window here which shows what we're primarily working on. You may have your output window displayed initially. There's some tabs at the bottom that will change what's displayed in this bottom window down here. Typically we like to see the output one open normally. It'll give us messages about how processes are running when we execute them with the rest of the development environment. And then we have this thing called a Solution Explorer. Our windows can actually be moved around, and you can see that and they can be repositioned. So in this case I could put it at the top, but that's not a great way to look at our application, so I'm going to take my Solution Explorer and put it to the right. You'll notice that there are these little docking buttons which change to light blue whenever you are positioning the screen somewhere where it can be docked, and so you can arrange this in whatever way works best for you. The standard layout typically though is we have a toolbox on the left, we set up our main window in the middle, and we set up our Solution Explorer on the right, and the output window down at the bottom. While we're starting, I recommend you kind of stay with this layout. Sometimes you may lose your windows. For example, let's say I lost my Solution Explorer. I just closed it out. It's no longer visible. If I want to bring it back in, I can go click on View, and you'll see that a number of your windows are listed in the View menu. If I want to bring my Solution Explorer back, I can just click on that and my Solution Explorer will reappear. So if you don't see it, click on View and you can bring it back. For another example, if your output window is not available, I can click on View and click on Output, and now my output window will come back. The next thing we want to do now is create a new project. So to create a new project, we will click on File, New, Project, and we're going to pick a C++ project. Over on the left hand side you have the option to select projects of many different languages. In our case what we want is Visual C++. Your screen may look a little different and you may have to search through a different menu structure, but in our case I want Visual C++. I'm going to pick an empty project. I'm going to call it Hello World, and I'm going to save it on the desktop. Saving it on the desktop is a good option. You can move the project later on after you close everything out to wherever you want to store it, for example on your USB drive if you're taking it home with you. And then once we have everything set up, I'm going to click on OK. And Microsoft Visual Studio will now set up our project. Right now it's creating a directory structure for our project, and it's loading that directory with a number of files that it uses to manage our project. So once the project opens up, in the Solution Explorer we have a number of directories that basically showed up. These directories are actually empty. In fact, if you wanted to look at those directories, what you can do is you can right click on, for example, the Solution folder, and you can click on Open Folder in File Explorer, and what you'll get is the file will open up, and we see that in our desktop directory we have Hello World, and we have a solution file which is basically a file that stores information about our solution. And both the SLN and SDF files are files that are maintained by Visual Studio. You won't have to do anything with them. And in Hello World, we have the next directory down. This is the project directory, and we have a VCX.proj files, which are again used to collect information about the project. We can have multiple projects per solution. In our case, we just have one. And again, Visual Studio is going to maintain these files, so we don't need to do anything with them. We'll interact with them through the IDE. As we make changes to our project, Visual Studio will take care of keeping these files up to date. So right now, our solution is basically empty except for some configuration files. The next thing we want to do is add a program file. And to do this, what we'll do is we'll right click on the Hello World project, which is this folder down here, not the one that says solution. And we're going to click on Add, New Item, and you'll have some options. Since this is a C++ project, everything in here will be C++ items. And we're just going to add a C++ file, and we're going to call it hello world.cpp. .cpp is the extension that Visual Studio uses for C++ programs, and it makes sense. C++, CPP. We'll name it Hello World. It gives us the directory. It's basically based on what we right-clicked on in the Solution Explorer, and we click Add. And you'll notice in the Solution Explorer that hello world.cpp has been added in the source files folder. We have an hello world CPP is also opened up in the main window, and it shows us an empty file essentially. And if you were to accidentally close this, you could actually double click on Hello World in the Solution Explorer and it'll open back up. If we look at our project file now by looking at it in the File Explorer, we can see that Hello World has been added as a file, and you could actually right click on this and edit with a text application, and you would see that it's actually just an empty text file. So here we can start editing our program.